Hi, welcome to Financial Education for the Nation. My name is Warren Shute, and today's video is coming to you on debt repayment and having debt and how to pay it down quicker and getting yourself straight. So let's go back a step first and have a look at and have a speak about where debt really comes from and how we get into that sort of position. So often that people accumulate debt for various reasons. Sometimes they fall on hard times. It's very genuine. And then a call to a friend, family, bank, or a credit card to help cash flow move you through a certain period of time. So you're in a less difficult position, shall I say. But sometimes it's just through overspending. Sometimes it's not that whatsoever. It's just genuine overspending. And we live in a day and age of instant gratification. So we see something, we want it. We don't have the money to buy it. So we then take out finance to buy it. But then once we've got it, we realize we didn't probably want it anyway in the first place. So we go on and time goes on and we repeat the process that we see something else we want and we buy it and we don't have money to buy it on interest-free credit or even on credit terms, and these things snowball, these compound. So what we then have is lots and lots of monthly payments to make and balances, and then it gets to a stage where bills come through the door and we don't want to open them because we're scared what's inside them. Ring a bell, 21? And we don't know how to get out of this mess. So we're in a position where we almost feel trapped and we don't know how to get out. We don't know how to solve the problem, and the problem being paying the debt off and getting our life back. So step one is stop the habit. Stop the habit, so stop overspending. If we refer back to the money plan, which is my book, step two of the money plan is get financially well organized. So financially well organized basically means knowing what comes in, what goes out, what you owe, and what you own. So we need to be organized for that. If you go to warrenshute.com and go to the resources section, download the debt organizer spreadsheet. There's a spreadsheet on there that allows you to put all your debts on there and all your income and expenditure, everything else. You can get organized and get yourself sorted out. So that's all very well. So we now know what's coming in, what's going out, and what we owe and what we own. But that might just solidify what the problem is. We might have known that already subconsciously, but not actually put down on paper. So what we now is go to the next stage and we have a look and say, okay, is there a surplus? Is there a surplus of income over expenditure? And in the money plan, we talk about paying the first hour of any working day to yourself. So we make sure it goes to you. So that's 12.5% of your gross income gets paid to you. And we use that money to start paying down our unsecured debt. So have a look at your income, have a look at expenditure. If there isn't 12.5% surplus, we need to make some cuts in our expenditures to make sure that there is a surplus for us. And there's all sorts of ways we can make cuts, but I assure you, you probably still have Sky subscription, mobile phones, that kind of thing. These things that can be go. Also have a look at utilities. Utilities can be negotiated and payments brought down that way, and also general insurance as well. That's a great way of doing it. There's lots of various ways that you can do that. So that's reducing your expenditure. But now let's look at increasing your income. So using payment clubs, as it were, or pay clubs, Top Cashback, Quidco, that kind of thing. Using vouchers, vouchercode.com to get vouchers when you buy and spend money, that kind of way. But have a look at there's other ways we can bring in additional money, maybe taking a part-time job and working additional hours, because all that surplus money could then potentially go to repaying down the debt. So we've got the income and the expenditure side of things that we need to sort of clarify. We really need to make sure there's 12.5%. So 1 hour of every working day goes to you. 12.5% of your gross income. That's what we need to make sure is a minimum. Then we look on assets and liabilities. And let's face it, if we've got money in bank accounts yielding or earning us less than 1%, and we've got high interest credit card debt, let's take that money and reduce the credit card debt. I think we need to have at least a minimum of £1,000 in reserve, so held maybe in premium bonds or a high interest account. But other than that, any other money you got elsewhere, bring it in, cash it in, let's pay this debt down and get the debt repaid to reduce your expenditure. You can then look at things like reducing the rates of interest that you're paying. So interest-free credit cards, lower rates of loans, that kind of thing. Take a look on Money Fact websites and Money Supermarket. There's lots of websites out there, comparison sites. And on the spreadsheet, I think it should be uploaded by the time you watch this video, there'll be links to different providers as well that you can go on there. So, okay, let me try this one out and see if they've got better rates that we can do. So if we can save interest on anything, then that's a benefit. So what we're trying to do here is increase our cash inflows, reduce our cash outflow, so increase the money coming in, reduce the money that's going out, and then on the debt side of things, trying to make the interest, the cost of that debt as low as possible. Now, I'm not a huge fan of consolidating all of that debt into one. I think as long as you're organized, there's no disadvantage to you having a number of different credit cards and loans. So what we want to do is try to keep the payments down as low as possible. And then I need you to organize those debts, and the software, the spreadsheet on the website does this for you. I need you to organize it in balance first, with the smallest balance going through to the largest balance. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use what we call the Snowball repayment method. And the Snowball repayment method is where we pay the same amount of money onto each card. So basically the minimum payment, not the same amount of money, sorry, the minimum payment onto each card or loan to make sure you're meeting your obligations, your contractual obligation, not jeopardizing your credit score. And then we pay a larger sum of money, so this extra 12.5%, onto the smallest balance. And all our focus, all our attention is to pay that smallest balance off. So this is why we start with the smallest balance first, so we have a quick win. Psychologically, we want to get a boost, we want to get a dopamine boost, we want to get that smallest credit card balance paid off first as quickly as possible. And you do anything you can to get that paid down. Once that's paid down, we then roll over both the additional payment and the minimum payment onto the second balance, so the second, which is now the smallest balance of you've got, and we repeat the exercise that way. And then this momentum, and it takes months, not days or weeks, it takes months quite often, especially if your credit card balances are quite high. So it takes momentum, but you'll see the balance of these reducing very, very quickly. And you have this one spreadsheet, you keep everything up to date, and you review that spreadsheet once a month when it's pay time, and you're allocating your payments and things, you review it and keep things organized. So it's easier said than done. I do appreciate there's a psychological connection with this and an emotional connection. So when you're in debt, you sometimes feel there's nowhere to turn. But step one has got to be, let's get organized. Let's know what we've got. So let's be brave. Let's get all the information out on the table. Let's complete the spreadsheet. Go to the website, download the spreadsheet. Let's complete the spreadsheet. Income from various sources, outgoings, everything you've got on there. Make sure you allocate yourself some wham, some regular spending money, because you still have to live while this process is going on. If you deprive yourself from everything, you'll fall off the rails and it won't last. You go back to using credit cards. Income expenditure, let's make sure there's 12.5% left. There will be things in those expenditures that you can reduce or cut out, or there will be ways of you increasing your income. And then let's look at our assets. What have we got? Have you got any savings, any money anywhere else? Does anybody owe you any money? Is anybody you can call on? Let's look at your liabilities. Let's list all your debts, overdrafts, credit cards, loans, put them all into one spreadsheet, and then organize it with the smallest balance first. And then you can say, right, pat yourself for that. You've got yourself organized. Now it's following the plan, following the program, paying the minimum payment on everything, but paying the excess money, the extra money you've got left over every month onto the smallest balance. And the software will actually calculate when that will be paid off. Now, technically, it would be more advantageous for you to repay the highest interest rate first, okay? However, the challenge we've got with that is if the highest interest rate is your largest debt, what you'll then find is it might take you some time to actually get that debt repaid, and then psychologically, you'll then start weaning. You'll start falling off the program, and then you'll start finding that actually you're not going to do this and it's taking you forever to achieve it. And, oh, it's never going to success. Why bother? I'm going to give up. So what we want to do is we want to get you quick wins. We want to get you a psychological boost, a dopamine Scooby snap, as I refer to it, and make you feel good. So let's get that small credit card gone, boom. And that's one of the advantages of not consolidating everything. If you consolidate everything into one loan or one credit card, you're not able to achieve that same process. So I like to keep things separate and do that. But step one, let's get organized. Let's know where everything is. Now, a little sort of tip or known fact, if you just pay the minimum payment on a credit card, let's say your credit card balance is £3,000 and the average interest is around about 19%. If you pay the minimum payment, it's going to take you, I think it's something like 20-something years to pay that credit card off. And the amount of interest you pay is going to be like £4,000, almost double that. Whereas if you keep the payment the same, rather than reducing, because the minimum payment will obviously reduce over time, if you keep that payment the same, it massively shortens the repayment term, and it also reduces the amount of interest by over half. Okay, so I'll put the actual figures up on the article that accompanies the video. But basically what I'm saying is, let's really take a conscious stance, programmed approach at repaying this debt. Get yourself organized, make sure that you know what you owe, and then start paying things. Now, a couple of things you can start doing as well is, one, don't use your credit cards again. There's no reason why you need to use your credit cards again. Some people will argue and say, well, I can get more protection using a credit card. I can get air miles using a credit card. I get cash back with your credit cards. Yes, you can, but these are incentives for you to use debt cards. That's effectively what they are, as debt cards. And what I would say to you is, unless you are very, very disciplined with money, you don't need to use a debt card. It's like saying, I'm partial to drinking too much alcohol. I'm just going to have a little bit of brandy, or just have a little bit of beer, a little bit of wine, whatever it might be. Don't tempt yourself. If you're good with money, this doesn't apply to you, so I'm sorry. But if you're not so good with money, if you owe money on credit cards, by default, you've not gone through a good period with money. Therefore, at least for this time being, let's cut credit cards out of the equation. Cut them up, don't need them, put them in the bin, and then let's start repaying this debt. I hope this has been of some help to you. It seems very straightforward, but I do respect that it's more of an emotional journey as opposed to just a logical one. Connect with me on Facebook. Make sure you feedback any questions you've got, or we'd like to hear from what you have to say, and go in for the long term. This is a long-term journey and you can achieve it. Just make sure you get yourself organized, pay down the debts, and enjoy life as well. That's why the WAM's still important. The WAM's still important because you still need to ensure that you're living, enjoying yourself. Otherwise, you won't continue with this program. It's not a quick fix. It's a money plan for life. I've been Warren Shute. Lovely speaking to you, and you have a nice weekend.